If Nicketeers, it is me, your host, Tristan. Or, as you can call me in the savannah here, Sparks Hamilton, your plucky gunner. Yeah, let's go with that. With me, as always, is my sidekick, Hassan. He's the one that... yeah, you're welcome.
Barks.
You're welcome. You can also choose a cool like mercenary name if you want.
Tristan, we're just podcasters. We don't need mercenary names.
I figured if we're out here in the savannah, which was not where we are, but if we are in the savannah, we would actually have cool mercenary names and stuff. Yeah?
No, I've never even fired a gun.
Really? Oh, man. You're going to be terrible in a firefight then.
Why would I get in a firefight? Especially on the savannah. I have no stakes of any of the geopolitical turmoil in that region.
Well, you're about to, Hassan, because you know why? Cold hard cash. And also freedom. Freedom for the people of that area, of whatever made-up country exists there at this point.
Yeah. No, I don't think that should involve me at all.
No?
No, I really think that the local politics should be left up to the locals rather than me, an outsider, coming in and trying to decide how everything should work.
What if, though? What if? Sweet gyrocopter.
Look,
Yeah?
I'm probably not going to trust anybody who tries to pitch me on a sweet gyrocopter. That sounds like that's likely to fail in air, and I would die. 2, I don't know that getting to fly a gyrocopter is worth what sounds like you're implying to be more than just some murder, as in a lot of murder.
Okay. Yeah, okay, you got me there. It is a gyrocopter, and it does have a flamethrower mounted on the bottom. Now,
I'm not spraying... Why would I flamethrower in the savannah? That's bad. That's just going to set stuff on fire.
That's why you have a flamethrower, yeah. That's
kill the wildlife.
Well, okay, look, it's not going to kill wildlife that much. And if you do, we can make wallets and quivers and stuff out of the bodies.
I don't know how to turn... I don't know leather working.
Well, then you got to learn to be a mercenary.
I don't want to be a mercenary.
Oh, that's too bad. I signed you up.
With who?
With me. Well, we're partners, also a company.
No, I don't agree to that.
Deep wave, something like that. Dark wave, something like that.
Okay, actually they changed the water, and now they do a bunch of weird financial investment stuff. It's weird. They're a weird company. Look, they still do the mercenary stuff, but there's also diversified in a weird way. 2, I'm just not agreeing to any of this. I'm not even getting involved.
Well, I've already signed you up, Hassan. We're on our way.
Just stay home and play video games.
Okay. I mean, you could. If you don't want to live the cool mercenary life like I do.
I do not. I absolutely do not.
Okay, well then fine then. Well, what do you want to do? You want to play video games? What video games do you want to play?
Well, Tristan, the video games that I'm going to play are FarCry 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, you should figure it out much sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right, go on. Yeah,
talk about those Far Cry games, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because I just recently played through and finished Far Cry 6. I have also played the other games, but
you could play Far Cry 3, 4, 5, and 6 again if you really want to, or mounted flamethrower and a gyrocopter. Just gotta say.
No, that's you will die.
No, everything below me dies.
And you.
No.
Oh yeah, you'll die. So for anybody who doesn't know, FarCry is a now long-running series of first-person open-world shooter games. So the first game came out 2004. So just like let me try and find
the first
March.
one, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we are now 20 years on from the very first one. Now that was actually developed by Crytek. I never played that. That was followed up by a bunch of
good. That's a good game.
Expansions and remasters and stuff, and then eventually Far Cry 2 came out. I know there are people out there who say that is the best one. It's their favorite.
Far Cry 2 is really
reasons.
Cool, but it's got some weird technical stuff.
Yeah, again,
I like it.
I never played it, so I jumped on at Far Cry 3 in 2012, and to me,
that's the one.
Far Cry 3, it's a little bit of a weird, like, tough sort of choice and toss-up as to, like, the best Far Cry out of these sort of the Ubisoft era of these open-world games.
Yeah, I agree.
All have a very similar template. I think 3 would, if you were trying to make, like, a list of, like, you know, the if you were ranking like the greatest games of all time or something, and you were putting the Far Cry's on it for some reason, Far Cry 3 I think is the one you would put on it because it is the one that laid down that template and created it.
It did.
It is a better game. It doesn't do enough to change it that I think it puts it above 3. But getting into it, the things that really make these games all, like I said, they kind of come from the same template. So they are all these open world games where you are playing as typically a sort of outsider in a way. So in the first game, you are, I believe you're American, this white guy who ends up in these islands off of Thailand. You get involved, your friends basically get kidnapped, so you get involved in taking down this organized crime situation. In the second game, you are visiting your mother's homeland of Kirat, which is this fictional region in Himalaya, a mixture of Nepal and India. So it's sort of your first time going there. You are sort of this outsider. In the fifth game, you play as a government agent, not from the region in Montana.
Okay.
And then the sixth game, that one slightly changed up. So that one, you are in a fictional nation of Yara. It's pretty clearly supposed to be Cuba.
It's Cuba, yeah.
You are actually somebody who's sort of grown up there, but the way in this case, no. So
really?
So you've grown up there, you've lived there your whole life, but the way that in this one they kind of outsider you is that you end up joining and recruiting a bunch of guerrillas, but it's this whole thing of like, oh, you know, you got thrown into this. You didn't choose to become one kind of thing. So
I didn't ask for this.
Kind of. And so that's sort of like, honestly, plot-wise, the way that they all kind of follow this same template, the same storytelling where, you know, hey, this is why you're not already involved in these things, and we have to introduce you to all these different factions and groups that are involved, and you know, how we have that dialogue of talking about, you know, oh, here's, you know, the, you know, whichever game this is, here's the antagonist right-hand man that's been there for 20 years now, and why you don't seem to know a whole lot about them, even though, you know, that that should be weird having to explain that, right? It's
whoa. It's
how they get around a lot of the narrative
Jenkins,
stuff.
and you've known him for your entire life, but here's his deal. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. I think
Amnesia.
like Far Cry 3 has probably, I'll say, like the most awkward storytelling.
It
where
sure
it really
fucking
does
does.
have white savior elements happening.
I'm on vacation with my friends in Africa, and I'm here. Oh my god, there's drug.
Thailand.
It's in 3 and 3. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
I'm on vacation with friends in Thailand, and I guess I got kidnapped. Oh my god, I gotta save them. Oh my god, I gotta help the rebels fight off the drug cartel. I'm a savior. I'm a hero. Holy crap! Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the game.
I think though, because again, it's kind of
Good tomb rating though.
It has some of the most like interesting cinematics going on and like story
it's pretty
moments
good there.
in
I
it.
agree.
That opening where they use that Paper Planes, I think is the name of the song. I forget the artist who sings it. And then they sync it up to the phone, and the villain in it, Voss, he's fantastic.
Voss is awesome.
So they do, a bunch of stuff like that, or there is another sort of story moment / mission that they repeat across all of these games, but this one does it best, where there is a mission that it's basically, hey, in order to disrupt the actions of this organized crime, you need to go burn these wheat fields. So you get a flamethrower, you're burning these wheat fields. And in this one, it's playing a Skrillex song.
Yep.
Which, it's just goofy and funny. And then they replicate that across the other games, and it's just not as impactful. And I think really that's a problem, and the thing I'm going to end up harping on over and over again is, 3 did it, and that was cool. And 4 did it, and it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And 5 did it, and it was boring. And then 6 is aware that it's doing it again, and it tries to not be as bad, but you're still kind of just...
If you're aware of it, why do it again?
Because they're basically sort of saying, hey, we're going to make it short, and we'll tweak it up a little bit, but it doesn't work. And that's more than just that mission. It's true of a lot of stuff, but like...
We're aware that we are repeating the same things over and over again, audience. However, I think this time we will shock you with how much is the exact same as everything else.
No, because that's the opposite, right? It's aware, and it just kind of goes, look, we're doing this again, but it's fun. We're just we're not gonna make it tedious. We're not gonna make it too long. We think that this is a fun, neat thing to do. So we're gonna do it again. But that's fine.
Yeah, sure.
So for Far Cry 4. This is, I think, the best and most interesting storytelling.
I think Far Cry 4 is one of the best stories. Yeah, I like the idea of coming back to your homeland.
Yeah, so you play as Ajay Ghale, who's coming back to his homeland. The villain in it, Pagan Min, I think is quite good.
I fucking love Pagan Min though.
Voss in 3 is still the best villain, but he gets off 3/4 of the way through, and then his boss is the true antagonist, and
no, it's just not.
the boss is so much more lame, and it
cuts a finger,
undermines Voss. So Pagan Min ends up being the best. He's the most interesting. I think the relationship stuff, the storytelling,
because Pagan Min is he's kind of a James Bond villain.
He
a
is
good one,
but I think it's even beyond him. So if you think about Far Cry 3, it's most of the support characters are just forgettable in it, whereas in 4 they feel pretty good. They feel pretty memorable and interesting, and the actual politics of what is happening in the region, it feels more interesting. Where 3, it's basically just, this is supposed to be a region that there's basically poverty across the board. Government doesn't really exist too much or care too much. Kind of the gangs control everything, but they're, violent and cruel. And so, hey, it's fun to murder those gangs, but in terms of the actual the morals of the people you are fighting you fighting on the right or the wrong side? It's just not there. Whereas in 4, Pagan Min is definitely a dictator, but there's sort of some
Who do you put in his place?
I'm not going to say it like masterful or anything, but it's at least decently handled. Questioning of, but is overthrowing this dictator actually going to make things better? There's a lot of people who are, happy to have sort of an overbearing government, but a stable government that at least provides them the bare minimum. Whereas, hey, these rebels, are they actually going to be capable of ruling and providing those things? And so it's a much more just interesting story.
So I might want to ask a rebel faction somewhere what happens if they get into power. I don't know.
Oh, it always goes well.
Always goes well. Look at Afghanistan. We're perfectly, right?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, right? That's the thing. Politics are messy and complicated.
Venezuela and Chile worked out mostly okay, ish.
I don't know their history of politics, honestly, to say
Venezuela
one way or the other.
Chile went back and forth.
But then get to 5. 5, even at the time, it was pretty easy to tell going into it that they were not going to and so 5 so Far Cry 3, I should say, 2012, Far Cry 4, 2014, Far Cry 5, 2018. So we are now 2 years ish into the Trump presidency. This one set rural Montana.
Yeah.
But it was always obvious they were not going to properly tackle that,
Our games don't have politics. Are you? They fucking did.
I forgot about that. I mean, again, that goes back to that sort of, if you think about Far Cry 3, where it's like, well, we don't have politics when it's about white people.
Clearly,
we can't pick a side and say, the Republicans are clearly bad, because that's we don't make those kind of political statements, right? And so we just
want both your monies.
So much wrong? Of just Canada, U.S. and Europe in general, the hypocrisy of the way that a lot of that stuff gets treated. Far Cry 5, though, just in general, the worst story and the least interesting character stuff, especially because, again, your character, everyone just calls you Rook because you're a rookie.
I
get
that.
Outsider who doesn't have any real involvement in this town, any attachment to it. It just ends up being just not as... There's no investment in it. And the whole thing about this one is, you're basically taking down this religious cult, which is kind of interesting, but, the white hypocrisy, they're Christians, so it's just, no, they've taken it too far. It's not that, Christian politics, or Christian belief will always eventually lead to this extreme. We can't say that the same way that they can for some of the other stuff that they acknowledge and talk about. And this one in particular, just not poorly written characters, but most of the characters boring, because most of them are just these sort of, shucks, we's just some good old Montanans who just want to stop this dang old cult from doing its bad stuff.
Wait a minute.
Most of the characters are not, they don't have politics. Like in 4, where you have an actual rebel group that has serious politics, that wants to say, hey, no, our nation getting a lot of money through opium is bad. We want to put a stop to that because it delegitimizes our nation.
But then what do I do with all these child soldiers that I have on the other side? What then? Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I from what I haven't played a lot of. Well, I didn't play any of 5 or 6, but 3 and 4 for sure. Like, yeah, the politics are definitely there. But from what you told me and what I've seen of like video essays and that kind of stuff of 5, and also actually of New Dawn. I did play New Dawn. From what I've seen of 5. Yeah, the whole like we don't have politics does stem from that of like this one's about white people and we can't pick a side because I wouldn't like I've seen other people call it cowardly. I don't think it's cowardly because I think it's very much in line with a lot of North American politics. Like I recently watched A24's Civil War, and I think that's kind of similar. That does a decent job of showing the horrors of it, of war, but it still kind of presents it as this like, we're not inherently going to put blame on anyone or anything. We're not going to say one side are the bad guys kind of thing. But also like this the one let me see if I can find the character's name here. I cannot find. Well, thanks Wikipedia. It does not have a cast page. The cult leader in 5 is just Eden's Gate is the cult. Eden's Gate is a great name for a cult.
It is, but the cult leader is kind of just whatever.
I heard that he was really good though.
Nah, I think his like for lack of a better term, but generals, his 3 top henchmen effectively. I thought they were good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. The head of Eden's Gate guy, he's very Jared Leto. Just
that's a great reason to hate him.
a lot of his just speech stuff. It wasn't compelling or interesting.
Okay. Was it like
Josiah, 6,
Jeremiah?
So yeah, something like that. Yeah. That sounds right. So FarCry 6. So again, we're
Giancarlo Esposito.
Cuba. Yeah, he's fine.
Okay, hold on. He's only fine? Really?
Yeah, a lot of the writing just feels super cliche.
Esposito, he's fucking awesome. He's a great actor. And you get fine out of him? That sucks.
He does good at the role. It's just the way that the role is written.
No, I know. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying, like, it's probably the directing and probably the writing, like you said. He's really good.
I don't think it's a directing issue. I think it's the just the way that they have the character in the plot. I found his the villain he plays, it feels like something I've seen 1,000 times, where like he's talking to his son about, we are the tigers and other people are lambs and the tigers will eat the lambs. And it's just like, oh yeah, this dictator giving their grandiose pseudo philosophical intellectual speeches. I have my
morals.
It was
blah,
whatever.
Blah,
He's
blah,
also not even on screen all that much.
Well, neither is like Pig and Min.
peg him in, there is way more of him because he is constantly talking to you on the radio. There are constantly like not just talking to you, but there's also just like propaganda constantly blasted out and stuff. I actually think most of the side characters in this are some of the best writing they've had and some of the most interesting some of the most interesting subplots happening. Where it kind of fails is in this one, you are playing a very specific named character who has way more specific interactions with characters, but your character just isn't interesting.
Main character syndrome in a Ubisoft game, yeah. Everybody but the main person's all interesting.
I don't know. I think they do some pretty interesting stuff with like Assassin's Creed main characters. Those are mostly pretty good. Bayek, Ezio.
Maybe Bayek and Ezio, yeah.
I can't think of the guy in the fourth game, but he was pretty good.
All
I know is his ship was called the Jackdaw.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
I think Ubisoft can have good characters, but I don't. You're not a bad character. It's just I don't know. There's something missing with your character, and I think part of it just comes down to somewhat what we were talking about with the RPG episode, where in this game, where you are a specific named character, but they also kind of have to let you tackle the story progression and kind of however you want, in the sense that, hey, you can go here and you can, do all of the missions or this subplot to take down the head of communications for the head of Yara. Or instead, you could bounce around. You could do one mission there and then one mission here with the head of the military. And then, one here with the head of science kind of thing. And so it just... And your character always, has to be helping and doing that. And so it just feels like your character doesn't have control over things in a way, that you're just this character that's always agreeing, I'll go off and do this thing. There are a couple of interesting moments like that, but just overall that part of it was disappointing. I still like the game. I still think it is much better than 5. I think 5 is universally agreed to be a bit of a low point for the series.
I've heard it's bad, except for like the co-op integration makes it a lot of fun. I've heard that
5's not bad. It's just it's the least interesting of them.
Sure.
We'll say 6 is still not as good as 3 as 4, and it is because it's using that same template. It tries to have that same charismatic leader. The way that your goal is the same that it's always been, right? Hey, there's bad guys in this region, you need to stop them. Getting into the core gameplay of it, where again, similar formulaic action and missions that you were doing, 3 laid the groundwork for that, where it's this big open world. You go around, you climb up these towers. Those towers will then unlock areas of the map. Ubisoft got a lot of flack for that.
No.
Because they did this first in Assassin's Creed before they were doing this in FarCry.
Yeah, they sure did.
They even did it in The Crew. Is it Crew or The Crew? I think it's The Crew.
Yeah.
Their car racing game that had a similar thing.
Wait, I I assume you don't actually climb a tower in the crew.
No. You drive
although,
to like a.
Although that'd be fucking.
I think it's still a radio tower.
Yeah, that'd be the hardest. That'd be the hardest tower climb challenge. It's like use this car.
Would be.
Yeah.
I don't actually hate that.
I don't either. I think
way
it's
of
fine.
doing things.
If you really like make it an interesting climbing puzzle, I'm fine with it. Like I will say, FarCry, yes, kind of like really made it its thing. So Assassin's Creed is there as well, but I think FarCry has made it the ubiquitous thing that has to happen in a Ubisoft open world game. I will say Dying Light did it as well, but Dying Light did it better because that is a game about parkour and climbing and stuff.
The climbing's gonna be better, and that's kind of the problem, right? In the first game, in Far Cry 3, it was interesting because this hadn't been applied over and over again, and the climbing was fine in that game. It wasn't amazing, but it was decent. And they get to 4 and they did it again.
Yeah,
did it to 5 again. 6, they actually do away with it. The way that 6 mostly handles it is that there are a variety of fast travel locations across the map, so that's it can either be a full on base sort of area where you have things like your crafting bench or your weapon shop, etc., or they can just be small little outposts, and so taking those over will just expose sort of smaller areas of the map. Honestly, I didn't miss having the towers because over and over.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's now in Breath of the Wild and shit, and just everybody's doing it. And it's just a thing that everybody does now. It's whatever.
3, it was still the most interesting where it was.
Yeah, those were cool when they first came out. Here's we put these are Assassin's Creed. We all know that. Yeah, that's fine. But it's in first person. It's more of a climbing puzzle from this game style of climbing.
The verticality is one of the things that really helped to make it, because
really did. And also later on in the third game, once you get the wingsuit, which in the fourth game that makes the towers actually appealing is the wingsuit. So you get that right away. It's okay, now I have a high point to jump off of and go zoom in. That's cool. Sorry, you were saying something.
No, well, what I was going to say is part of what made it so interesting in the third game is that the sort of 360 PS3 era, that's really where verticality in games becomes or accessible verticality becomes more of a thing. PS2, obviously, there was verticality, had things like the Spider-Man games.
Yes.
But if you think about some of the bigger games at the time that would have some verticality, like Grand Theft Auto, it wasn't too interactable, right? Okay, some of the skyscrapers you could go to the top of, but
usually you go to the bottom, you hit the button, you go to the top.
You're taking a helicopter to it, right? But you're not climbing up, or even in a lot of games, kind of going up things like a mountain. It's a specific path. You couldn't come at the mountain from 360 degrees around it, whatever way you want to try and do it. Skyrim your way up the mountain, right? And so that's what made it really interesting in 3. And it's why by the time you get to 5 in what year was that again? 2018, we're now 10 years into this. There are a lot of games that verticality is accessible, so it just becomes this rote, uninteresting thing to do, unless you are something like oh my god, I'm blanking on it. The zombie game you were talking about, Dying Light, where it has more interesting climbing mechanics to make you have to actually look at it and puzzle out. Wait, what am I? Oh, okay, so I gotta hop, I gotta bounce off that wall to grab that ledge. Okay, got it. So I'm glad in 6 they dropped that, but the core gameplay of these games is effectively taking over base, and that
you're fighting factions, etc.
has not changed from 3, where you head towards a base, you pull up your binoculars, it's going to tag all the enemies.
Whoa, that guy's wearing armor. That guy can ring the bell. That is a flamethrower.
Yeah. Oh, here's the alarm. I could snipe the alarm if I want, or
Holy crap, there's a cougar in a cage.
Sneak into the base, and I can hold down the X button for 15 seconds. That'll disable the alarm. I could shoot that cage with the tiger, and then it's going to maul 3 guys, and then it's going to be real easy for me to just take down the other guys. And in Far Cry 3, that was interesting because there was a good amount of it felt like different ways to take down the base and to have that emergent gameplay. So, hey, I'll just shoot out the alarms, and then you know what? I'm gonna call up some backup, and I'm just gonna run in there, and we're gonna go guns a-blazing and take over the base this way. Or maybe instead what I'll do is I'm going to throw this Molotov, and I'm going to let this fire sweep over it so that it doesn't trigger them to fight me, but it's going to take out half the guys on this base because it's just going to become this raging inferno, and then it's going to be easy for me to take out the rest guys. Or maybe I just stealth around and I'm knifing guys in the back. But as it continues on through the series, it's the exact same mechanics, and you're approaching the bases the exact same way, to the point that animals in cages exist across 3, 4, 5, and 6. All of them have that of, oh yeah, I can just shoot this cage and an animal come out and start attacking people. And that's a good way to start this base takeover without triggering the guards, but reduce their numbers to make my life easier.
I gotta say, there's only so many more games I can play where the best way to play them is like stealth, first person shooty from a hillside. It's getting to that point where like Far Cry. Maybe that's more on me. Maybe I should diversify my portfolio a bit there and try some different things. However, I always just kind of felt like in Far Cry, if I don't at first stealth up to the base, shoot the alarms out, and then go about my business, I am in for a bad time.
No, that's definitely the 100% right way. Is start off stealth, and then if you get caught, all right, just go guns a-blazing, because I'll take these guys down. No time. And especially, so by the time you get to 6, so there are the bigger bases, where typically the way you take those over is just take out all the guards. And then there are these smaller bases where the way that you have to take those over is you take out all the guards, and usually it's only 4 guards, so very easy. But you also have to destroy a sort of propaganda billboard. Every single one of those, though, does that and has that billboard. And so that I just got tired of. And that's really the problem with these base takeovers, is that when I look at other games that have emergent gameplay, I wish that this had more different ways to trigger things that would make it easier to take a base over. For example, taking from, and I realize how insanely difficult this would be to do, and that, hey, me sitting here and go, oh, they should just do this, it would be so, make it so much better. Yeah, it's easy to say, it's insane to try and implement. But when I think about something like Hitman, where the way that you can take out your target, there's so many, hey, you can sneak in and you can poison their meal, or you could sneak in and you can try and spray a cord so this thing is going to fall on them, or you could plant explosives and just blow them up, guns
disguise yourself as the world's greatest sushi chef / drummer.
And so I wish there were moments like that when taking over these bases of, hey, you know what? You're gonna make your life easier if you just destroy this tank, and it's gonna slowly seep out this poison, and that's gonna take out, some of the guards on this side, so that you can then sneak your way around here and do this thing. I wish that when you were tackling these bases, which is the core gameplay, there are other missions that it gives you, but the bulk of your time in these games really is going to be spent doing these mission takeovers.
Sure, yeah.
But they've been the same for 12 years now, and it's just not interesting anymore. If they do a Far Cry 7, I think what they need to do is go fewer bases that are bigger and that have these more authored means by which you are trying to address them and trying to tackle them.
Why not? I actually don't see why they couldn't do that in the future, because if you have, like I said, you take it you could go in here, steal a code, and arm the tank that will shoot off a round and kill the leader of the group during a speech. Or you can get in and you can poison their water supply, or you can get into the base and you can free certain prisoners who will help you take over the base, or you can hack into it. There should be other ways to do things, but you stealth up to the hill, you pull the binoculars, you tag the alarms, you shoot those first. You shoot the guys that are going to give you the most problems. Oh, the big guy's is resistant to long-range shots from a sniper rifle. Okay. I'm going to get up to him real close and snap his neck or shoot him with a big gun. Okay, then now that's done. Problem solved.
Yeah, or I would even say, to a certain extent, make me do missions that build up to me being able to take over the base.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you need to go find this person and get information out of them about the base's layout, so that hey, inside here is this console and this is the code you're gonna have to enter to deactivate it, so that hey, the doors can open, and you can more easily sneak around to take guys out. It feels stuck in the past in that way for so much of it, and it's a shame.
That's
because the core mechanics of the actual gunplay and the sort of stealthing up on people, those are still good.
Sure,
but it's how you use those that feels still just so basic. Where I can shoot people or I can stealth people, but I'm not needing to think about how I'm doing this. I'm not needing to plot things out. I'm just doing the exact same repetitious actions when I'm taking over every base since the third game.
Yep.
I also think they need to make these games smaller.
Actually,
I don't know if 5 or 6 would be the biggest game.
Well, if I recall, 6 is a whole country, so.
Yeah, but it's it's an island. I mean, I'm pretty sure Cuba is smaller than Montana.
You're probably right. I think.
But I don't know, because they don't. It's not all of Montana, but. Usually video games aren't 1-to-1. Some are, but that's very rare. It's 6. I could not imagine anyone 100%ing 6. That there is just so many of the tiny bases, so many side missions, so many things. And I know Ubisoft has recently been moving towards slightly smaller, or I'll say shorter games, like Assassin's Creed Mirage and then the upcoming Shadow. Both of those, they've been very much promoting, hey, these are not 100-hour games. These are 25-hour games to complete the main story. Far Cry 6, it definitely felt too long. It definitely felt like, even just if you wanted to mainline it, that it was too many missions, too long to get the big bases, the majority of them. Like 3 felt like a good length. 4 felt, I bet if I played it now, I'd probably say it's a little bit too long because I've already played it and kind of replaying it and not wanting to redo everything. But 5 and 6, definitely too much going on in both of those. I definitely think if they went back to smaller areas and shorter games, it would be more enjoyable, because it goes back to that thing of in 6, every little base has the billboard. Well, every little base has the billboard you have to destroy, because there are easily over 20 of them in this game. And so they're not going to come up with 20 unique, okay, well, to get this base, you have to take out the guards and do X thing. They're not going to come up with 20 unique X things to do.
No, definitely not.
So, of course, it's repetitious. But if there was 6 of those bases, maybe you could, right? You could say, well, okay, because this map is smaller, because there's less of these, we can now spend a little bit of time, hopefully. Probably not really, because probably it would just be the penny pinchers looking at it going, no, just hey, this will now be cheaper if you just spend less.
Yeah.
We could just spend less rather than spending the same amount of money, but a better experience.
Yeah, sure. Also, Cuba is smaller than Montana. Cuba is 109,000 miles squared. Montana is 147,000 miles squared.
140,000 miles of nothing. Suck it, Montana.
Montana.
What's its population? I'm like only half joking.
Like 10.
1.1 million. That is more than I thought.
Montana is very pretty. I want to go there sometime. Then I gotta deal with all the religious nut jobs who want me to join their Christian cult. Only sort of right. Only sort of wrong. Also, I can't remember now. I can't remember if Montana has the church that's also in Kingsman. Like the
yeah.
I think that's a church in Montana. It's very similar to the churches that look in Far Cry 5. I don't know. I could be wrong. Yeah. All right. So with I think the games that I have played from Far Cry, which are 3 and 4, and then the two of the offshoots, which are the ones that one of the ones that everybody played, which is Blood Dragon, because Blood Dragon, and then also New Dawn. Even New Dawn, with its whole thing being, hey, this is a post-apocalyptic land set in Montana still, but you get access to all this stuff. We can kind of like cobble together these road warrior style weapons with like this thing shoots saw blades. This thing is a fire stick launcher kind of thing. It's like weirdly primitive, but also high tech. But you can still just get guns, and that's good enough. It's stuff like that that draws me still to stuff like New Dawn. It definitely wasn't I gotta say, wandering around in New Dawn is fucking boring. Driving that is boring as hell. Why did they make the game like that? It can't be Montana. Like, Montana's a very pretty place, and like this game just doesn't even look that pretty. Like, what is happening?
The real problem is that goes back to, hey, these games are too big. Is that you have this big area, but what do you do in it? you just shoot people and that's it.
Yeah,
there's no other interactions you can have. There's
shoot
the
people,
occasional
cars,
climb this thing
helicopter,
to find a cache, or maybe somebody wants you to deliver this item from this area to this. But generally speaking, the things you do in those games,
I gotta say,
it's shooting.
I gotta say, and talking about the objectives in a Far Cry game make me drowsy. Like it makes me, I feel bored.
But the thing that makes moving around those games boring is because there's just not much interaction you can have with.
No,
if you think about,
not really.
And going back to it, Hitman, a Hitman level, there are a lot of things that you can interact with. Some of it very basic interactions. Oh, here's a closet. You can get in it and you can hide it.
Yeah.
Some of it way more complex. Oh, you can put on this chef outfit and then you can, either hey, you can go up to a stove and he's going to start cooking to blend in. Or you can grab a cart, and that's going to let you sneak by people. Far Cry has none of that, and that's part of the problem with these bigger maps. Is great, you made this big area, and traversing it's kind of fun, but that's all I can do. If you think about other games that have big maps like Fallout or Skyrim, because those are more RPGs, yeah, combat's what you're doing 90% of the time, but you could still interact with those environments more. There's still more of a variety of missions to it, and that's really what Far Cry needs at this point, is give me more than just shooting. Make it so that the way I interact with this big world has meaning to it, has more reason for me to interact with it. Because at this point, if they made a Far Cry 7 and it's still that exact same gameplay, that exact same limited interactability to it, make the map a third the size it is then, because who cares at that point? Make it just a super dense map and forget about all the unnecessary traversal elements of it, because they're pointless. I'm not gaining anything by exploring this.
I think I think the thing that sold me more on the Ubisoft Far Cry than anything, but also the reason why I kind of stopped, is that in Far Cry 3, I remember having this one really insane interaction that it was like 2 hours of gameplay that happened, in which all I wanted to do was hunt a leopard or a cougar or whatever it was, or mountain lion, to get the next tier of wallet that I wanted, or I think it's wallet or ammo pack or whatever it was, so I can craft stuff. So I find the area where they are abundant. I get there, and it's overlapping with like the bad faction, so it's not, I'm in danger a little bit. So I find the mountain lion, and I shoot it and kill it. Great. In comes the bad faction to fight me. I start fighting them. Then my guys show up as backup, because again they overlap, and they start fighting them as well. So I start hanging back, and then somebody throws a Molotov. I can't remember who it was. And that starts the grass to go on fire, and everything starts blowing up. And, this goes back and forth for a while until, I thought it was 40 minutes in or so. And I was like, okay, I can finally get my cougar. And then it happens again. It just doesn't fucking stop. And I was like, this is honestly a little awesome that there's a small-scale war happening right in front of me. And all I want to do is get this stupid mountain lion to get my stupid fucking wallet. I kind of love this. But then I realized it happens in every one of these games. And I'm like, I'm fine with that, because the emergent stuff is cool, and like what's the term for this? The like the progressive AI, I guess, in the sense, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The fact that this is kind of emerges from the game is cool. I like that a lot. But then, like, even like the stuff that generates through the AI, the computer, is still feeling the same to me, and that's randomly generated for the most part. And just like, I need to feel as if anything can happen in one of these games, and I haven't felt that way since FarCry 3. And then when you apply the same directive, unfortunately, to the bases and that kind of stuff, it just starts feeling like, oh yeah, just another one of these. It's the exact same thing as last time, just different setting. This one has Giancarlo Esposito. That's pretty cool. They wasted him, so. Alright, whatever. It's just, that's the way I think that a lot of people feel about Far Cry, and at least that's how I feel anyway about Far Cry. I don't want to, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is to end on a more positive note.
Sure.
It does feel like Ubisoft, from probably somewheres around Far Cry 5, probably around 2018, maybe a little bit earlier than that, but somewhere's around there.
Yeah.
They have felt stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
Just spinning their wheels, putting out repeats of the same formulaic games. But the last couple of years, and they've certainly had some misses. Skull and Bones, I think that was the name of that game.
Skull and Bones
certainly
was this year.
Yeah,
it was their take to try and do Black Flag again, but they failed it. So
yeah, that was not a success at all.
But it's quadruple A.
Well, yeah, it is. You're right.
But
even the ones that are, say, a little bit more, say, not bad games, but no one really talks about them too much. Immortals, Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah.
Riders Republic, Roller Champions.
Oh.
Even that Assassin's Creed Mirage. I think it's very clear that they realize they're in a bit of a rut. These games aren't quite doing what they should, and that the games that have started to come out, things like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown and the Rogue Prince of Persia, that Star Wars Outlaws game they have coming out, the things they're saying about Assassin's Creed Shadow, and even like some of the things that they did with Mirage were getting shorter game. I think it's pretty clear Ubisoft realizes, hey, it needs to actually take a step back, evaluate what does it need to do with these games to make them a success, to make them popular, to make it so that there's a fandom that is around their games.
Yeah.
I feel some confidence that when they make a Far Cry 7, they will seriously shake some of the things up. Maybe there's still going to be some of those formulaic elements. I 100% expect that a Far Cry 7 is going to involve you fighting some probably criminal pseudo-government faction. You know, you're still taking over bases, whatever. But I feel like they have realized why a lot of their games were failures, and that things have shifted, and that they do need to actually make things more interesting. They do need to not just pump out kind of the same thing over and over. That's not going to work. And so I do have some interest in what a Far Cry 7 would be. That said, Far Cry 6 came out 2022.
That sounds about right. 2022 or 2021, I think it was.
Surely it wasn't 20. Oh yeah, it was 2021. So it was eventually 3 years ago. though I only just played it, but I do still think they probably need to wait a little while longer, another 3 to 4 years before a Far Cry 7. I think they need to have more of a gap still so that people aren't just going to go, oh, it's another one, that they could say, look, guys, it's been 6 years, it's been 7 years.
I don't wanna...
Here's why it's different. Here's what's changed with it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I thought the thing is, though, like, so when did Far Cry 5 come out? Like, that was 2017, you said? 2018?
Far Cry 5, 2018, yeah.
Okay. Then Far Cry 6 comes out in 2021. So we're looking at 3 years in the difference, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with a longer time span between those two, it would have probably been like a little more acceptable to just do the same old a little bit.
Maybe.
But like Far Cry 6 I think was the breaking point for a lot of people when they realized it's just more of it, which is like I hate that because I want we need more. I think we need a lot more games like the Just Cause series that let you cause a little havoc, all that stuff. And Far Cry is letting you do that with a little more of a controlled mentality to it. Whereas Just Cause is just fucking let it rip. Like that's Just Cause.
Beyblades? They're putting Beyblades in? That's sick.
I would not surprise me if
I did not see it going that way, but I play Far Cry : Beyblades.
It would not surprise me if Just Cause had a Beyblade you could summon it and destroy shit.
Awesome, actually.
That would be fucking awesome. But I mean, like Far Cry doesn't. It keeps things a little more grounded, a little more real, which is fine. But like, if you're doing the same objectives over and over again, which can be okay. You need a variety of things, or at least a lot more havoc and things happening. Like, there's a reason why I would gravitate more to a Just Cause or a Far Cry, and that's just because, like, the things you can do in Just Cause are way crazier, way more interesting, way more action-packed cinematic stuff, as opposed to take over the base's security system, and then it's your base. You can fast travel there. Cool. Hunt for more wallets. Awesome. Ticket this guy. All right, you beat the boss. All right, you can fly this thing. Great. There's more things you can hunt. There's more guys you can fight. All this stuff, as opposed to there's a fucking oil tanker over there. Go and destroy that using a helicopter. Oh, your helicopter shot up. Well, you gotta hoof it and blow it up with fucking hand grenades and shit. You can shoot at this thing and make that thing explode and cause a chain reaction that goes all across the base. And it's just like, yeah, Just Cause, it's got a little more of like the puzzle elements that click in that Far Cry doesn't quite have. And like, I think that's its chief competitor, Far Cry, is Just Cause. And I know that Far Cry, I believe, still sells much better than Just Cause.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the Just Cause people, they went under, didn't they?
I'm pretty sure that's the case. It's Avalanche, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Avalanche got shuttered recently by Embracer, if I'm not mistaken. I can't totally remember that.
I think they're still around. It's just they closed a bunch of studios.
Okay. Which sucks. But that means that Just Cause doesn't sell as well as Far Cry. But I still revere the Just Cause series a lot more than the Far Cry series. Even if Far Cry 3 is awesome and Far Cry 4 is an improvement on the formula, like, it still makes me yawn just thinking about playing Far Cry, walking to a destination, shooting a deer for a wallet, and now you can take over this base. And instead of Just Cause, where it's like, yeah, you can fly this Learjet into this spot, you can jump out of the jet, parachute away, grab a hook across the building, you throw bombs at a thing, you can stick bombs in this guy's face, you can run into the fucking thing, he explodes, everything else explodes. God, yes! But like, we're talking about accessibility at this point because the Just Cause series not as accessible as opposed to the Far Cry series, which became much more accessible somehow. And I don't really understand why or how that happened. It could just be name recognition. It could be like, hey, this is a more polished version of what you can get over here. And that's probably it. So, I think that Far Cry is just too safe of a series. And I do want to see it do different, interesting things. And, like, the idea you posited before of, like, hey, what if it just took a little more time to develop these bases, make them more interesting, more interactable. Disguise yourself as a chef, this one. Who knows? But that's not the only way to do it. You can disguise yourself as a chef. But you could also go in, I don't know, wearing a bear costume, dancing around, and that distracts the guards, and then you blow something up in the background. However it happens. Having more of a immersive sim aspect to Far Cry would really amp up what it has. Because that's kind of what the first game of Far Cry had, in my opinion. The very first one was like open world immersive sim stuff where, hey, this base, tackle it however you want to, even if you play Far Cry 1 now, it's probably still the same as Far Cry 3, 4, 5, and 6. But, like...
No idea. I assume Far Cry 1 plays terrible, though.
Well, I mean, like, it's a 20-year-old game, so... well, it might not, but who knows? It probably does.
That's pre-left trigger, right trigger for aim and shoot.
That is true. If you go back to the original, like let's say the original Halo, that is still clicking the right stick to zoom in. So, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm pretty sure, like, back then, in 2004, the emergent gameplay of, like, hey, shoot the thing, like, you can shoot the alarm, sneak in this way, knife this guy, shoot these bad guys, and now the base is yours, was still around there. That is not as much, but still there. You know, that stuff was pretty fresh then. But, like... You know, we need new ideas. New locations are great, but I'd rather go back to what's Far Cry 4's place called again? Kiryat?
Kiryat.
Kiryat. I'd rather go back to Kiryat with fresh ideas than see a brand new place with the same stuff all over again.
Yeah, I don't... I'll be honest, I don't care either way. If it's a new place, if they go back to the old place, it's really just the gameplay. That is the part of it that is most in need of freshening up. And
yeah, it is, exactly.
So, some new elements to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying, if they just full-on reused a map, when, like, we're just going back here, but hey, we have brand new ideas to tackle objectives, that's more exciting to me than anything for Far Cry. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Word. Well, on that note, tell people where to find us.
We're on the internet. You can go places like Twitter, which is @EIFNIR. We're over there. You can scream at us really loudly, one long yell, if you prefer. That's fine. About Far Cry, if you like to. Yeah. Go there and do that. Go to our Spotify, iTunes pages. Leave us a review and rate us stars, however many stars you want to give us. I don't know how that works. Favorite us. You should also go to our YouTube if you're watching this right now. Like and subscribe. Or just click one of the many buttons. That's the pause button over there. You can just click that if you want to a bunch. Make it stutter. That's a lot of fun. Click the gear. Click the gear and make this run at like 0.25 speed, and make it sound all slow and weird. Oh.
That sounds terrible.
Oh, I'm old now. Ooh, I wish I wasn't so old. God, yeah, do that. Yeah.
No.
Anyway, click a bunch of buttons. Just start hitting your keyboard. You'll get it eventually. I believe in you. Go to our friends at DJDane.com. That's the guy that does our music, DJDane.com. And you can just summon him in to take over a faction's base. Just call him up. And he'd be like, yeah, I'm going to be there, no problem. He's going to like just airlift in. He's going to be throwing razor sharp vinyl records. Just killing guys left, right, and center. That's his whole thing. And then he just stops doing that because all the guys are dead, and then he doesn't have anything else to do. So he just kind of like hangs out. Maybe he says a funny line or two. Like, woo-doo, look at all the dead guys. I done a poopy. Yeah.
I need to keep you away from
What?
any kind of...
What?
Even anyone with a gun, I'm just gonna say that. You just need to keep you away from them.
Why? Is it because I'm a danger to myself and them?
Yes.
Okay. That's totally fair. Mostly myself. Anyway, you should do all that stuff. Also, tune in next time for another Elwind episode of Everything is Finally Ruined. See ya.
See ya.
Say it.